Yeah, Mr. Massimiliano, you want to start the session? I mean, you want to give an introduction to the overall, the workshop?
Yes, I think that we can start and then pass to the standard presentation.
Sure.
I think that in a few minutes all the people will be connected. Okay, thank you to all to be here, and for me it is a real pleasure to host this meeting as CINECA. Clearly the best option will be to host physically the meeting on CINECA, but considering the time in which we live, this is the best option. I hope that the next time we will be able to organize a meeting physically on CINECA on another place if needed. But in any case, I think that this meeting will be very useful for a lot of people. First of all, for CINECA people that already has a power machine, and for the future in the next year. But also for a lot of CINECA users and power processor users. And I think that we will have a lot of very interesting presentation today, and I think that now I can pass to Ganes and the microphone to start the meeting.
Thank you.
You want a t-shirt?
Massimiliano, for the wonderful introduction.
I just put the,
please, go on mute if you're not talking. Thank you, Dr. Massimiliano, for the wonderful introduction, and really appreciate it, for the time you spent on, organizing this workshop along with me. And I welcome to our open power, the workshop at CINECA. It's actually a kind of, we coined a word called, silicon to solutions. We do have right now, this silicon based, the open core power processor, and also we people can develop solutions, using that completely, with a firmware, operating system, and accelerators and the solutions. And with us, we have many participants, joining. Actually, there are nearly 42 people as part of the workshop, and hopefully we'll have more people joining. It's a long hours workshop, nearly 5 hours workshop, and we got here James Colina from Open Power Foundation, the executive director, and Dr. Jose Morerio from IBM Research, Luke Kenneth Kezon Leighton from Libersoc, Dr. Philip Lenowski from PSI Switzerland, Dr. Chekuri Chowdhury from IBM, Dr. Ander Ochoa from IBM Europe. There are a lot of good technology presentations on IBM Power Platform, and also it's all the open power systems, the capabilities. We are going to we are all going to share in next 5 hours. With this, I'd like to invite James Colina to give a intro talk and say a few words about about his experience, and also he can he's going to share about the openness and the open power, the foundation, the various capabilities.
Thank you, James.
James, yeah, please go ahead and start your presentation.
Yep. Hold on a second. All right, can everyone see this?
Yep.
Great. So thank you. My name's James Colina. I'm the executive director for the Open Power Foundation. Really happy to be here to talk to all of you. And so for some of you who might not know what the Open Power Foundation actually is, I mean, you obviously work with power machines. The foundation is a nonprofit. We started in 2013. We have a global footprint in terms of members. And what we're really trying to push, and our mission is to accelerate the adoption of the OpenPower ISA and complementary open technologies at large, really. And to do this, we actually in 2019 fully open sourced the Power ISA, which was a kind of a game changer for the foundation and actually set us on a new course. And this is, I came on board last year as the executive director, and we kind of did a spot check of what the foundation was doing and how it kind of interacted with the industry and its members. And we're pivoting now to be a much more open source focused project, community oriented and community driven. And so along those lines, we're really trying to drive these new kinds of innovations, whether it be in HPC or other verticals and other sectors, through development of specifications, which we have always done, but also we're standing up, new compliancy testing, and most importantly, the newest thing that we're standing up are actual product SIGs, or system integration groups. And so this is really around developing reference designs and developing something that someone in the commercial industry might be able to pick up and add value to and kind of take the market. Something very different than what the foundation has done in the past. And so our overall mission is really to grow this this ecosystem and our members, and to facilitate the visibility for the community and our members and what they're actually doing. So really great that Ganesh put this workshop on. This is the kind of stuff that we're going to be doing a lot more in the future. So obviously you all know that power architecture has played a pretty big part in high performance computing, and now that it's fully open source, I think it's going to play an even bigger role because it's a proven and flexible architecture, and it has a very wide support in terms of software as well as hardware and integrations around that. And so we're at the foundation really trying to push on this and make sure that we cover all the different use cases that we can possibly think of. And this just goes to show, we in the top 30 supercomputers, we have 6, and CINECA is right up there. We have a long history. OpenPower does in high performance computing, and breakthroughs and innovations around that, and working with the leading research entities across the globe. And this will continue, right? We actively are trying to understand what you are up to and what kind of research you're doing, what kind of issues and kind of obstacles you're facing. And now that we're really pivoting towards this community-oriented thing to kind of solve that in the open as a community, a global community. And so, we actually are looking at new use cases within the HPC here at the foundation to kind of cherry pick, if you will, what can we go after, what can we help, and this is where your input that you're doing with your own research and using power systems can really inform us into what kind of support we need to provide, what kind of initiatives we want to stand up. And so it's just really, we cover everything in terms of use cases that we're looking at. And we're really looking for people to actually join in and start contributing and collaborating and providing a lot of feedback. So along that lines, we're actually standing up these new kinds of work groups. So we're actually standing up, rebooting the HPC work group. So this is a new work group that's now going to be an actual SIG. And it's going to be cross-cutting across a number of different work groups and collaborating not only just within the OpenPower Foundation, but also across the Linux Foundation, which in 2019, the OpenPower Foundation actually went under. So this provided us direct access into a lot of the different bleeding edge open source projects that are going on. And so now we can actually reach out and talk with LFAI and LF Edge and a whole bunch of other work groups and projects to bring in and collaborate on using power and trying to use power to solve their problems. So this is really where I think all of you can actually be participants and collaborate. So we're standing up the HPC and we're kind of rebooting that. We're also looking at new accelerator projects and initiatives. This is going to be another one where we're collaborating pretty heavily with the OpenCAPI and OMI groups. So if the interconnects, between the GPUs and the open power processors. This is something that we have a lot of interest in pushing forward and progressing, as well as the ISA itself, right? This is the bread and butter of what the Open Power Foundation kind of stewards. And this is now a work group that's going to be open to members and allow actually for non-members to contribute as well. But it's really trying to enable new power-based CPUs. So this is something that's very different than what the foundation has been, I think, up to previously, which is the only one that was making power chips was IBM. And what we really want to see is many vendors taking this architecture and developing custom silicon to target different use cases, whether it be HPC or accelerators or AI, ML, you name it, all the way down into the embedded space and networking space. And in order to make that really happen, we also need to stand up this software enablement group. So this is something where Power has a very large ecosystem in software, but there are certain gaps, there are certain things that we want to make sure that we support from a foundation perspective, so that whatever work group that we have the right software support in place. And it's really to make Power a first-class citizen across all the major open source projects, whether that's HPC or cloud native and AI and ML. So software is a key enabler. So we are actually standing up what's called the Open Power Hub. So this is where certain entities have provided power resources to our community, so that we will have a very easy, self-service portal where you can actually just request power systems, and you can actually specify what you might need. So if you need access to GPUs or if you need access to FPGAs, you can actually do that. And we have a variety of people, of entities supplying a variety of different kind of configurations. And this is really around trying to make sure that whatever you're working on from a software perspective, whether that's firmware or whether that's all the way up the stack into applications and the high performance computing software, we can actually provide you what you need in order to do that work. And so this is something that we're standing up right now. And so be on the lookout for announcements around that. And one of the things where we're actively collaborating with is the CNCF and this kind of cloud native movement and containerization. And some of the projects that the HPC work group are already looking at is kubebatch and kind of this orchestrator and HPC scheduler and how they come together to improve one another and to kind of get the best of both worlds. So these are the kind of projects that I think people like you could actually come in and help with and support. The other thing that we're actively working with and collaborating on is with the OpenCAPI group. And this is really around, the interconnect between the CPU and the accelerator itself. And so this is around, AI mostly. So a lot of our accelerator group is looking at how can we improve this? How can we make this as easily consumable as possible? And how can we push this forward? So we're actively committed to this technology and bringing it to as many places as possible and making it easy for someone who's potentially developing a new power processor to integrate this into that processor. And the great thing about what we have now is actually IBM donated, HPC Ready open source cores. So the A2i was actually used in the Blue Gene Q supercomputer back in the day, and that's now donated into the foundation, fully open source, as well as they donated the A2O, which never actually went to market, but it was designed around high throughput. It was really a networking type core. But both of these are excellent cores and starting points. But there also are many other cores that people are currently working on, such as LibreSoc guys, which are doing fantastic work. I can't speak more highly enough about those guys and what they're actually doing. But we have great starting points. But there is work to be done, right? So these are older cores. They need to be brought up to the latest specifications. And we have a number of initiatives here at the foundation that are doing just that and using it in low power systems, embedded systems, all the way up through data centers and potentially HPC. So we welcome you guys to come in, collaborate, to review this, to give feedback, to see how we can actually improve this and push this out to as many different use cases and companies as possible. So with that, I welcome you guys to get in touch with me. We're actively looking for people and collaborators, new members, new research projects. We're looking at different, there's a number of EU grant proposals that we're looking at in terms of supporting companies in doing proposals to do basically open source processor design, accelerator design around power. And so if you're thinking about doing something along those lines, definitely get in touch with me or Ganeshan. And we'd love to see you guys come on board and collaborate in our work groups. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, James, for the wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. Panelist, audience, any questions for James? If not, you can also, post the question in the chat window, as well as, the Q&A tab in the bottom of the Zoom. You can see that. Please go ahead and post it. James will respond to that. Okay. Let's move on to the. And once again, I want to thank James for the presentation, and also it's early morning in US, and and he woke up and he delivered this talk. Thank you very much.